if you want more.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Well, thank you for your time. I mean, I know, things kind of got a little bit weird as far as the time zones. Obviously, no problem there. But thank you for rescheduling this, because I really did want to talk to you about this live record that you have with Hell's Bells, recorded at the Crocodile, which is just up I-5 from where I'm at. I'm in Oregon, so. Why a live album now, and why specifically at that venue?
Well, we've never done a live album ever, and so that's one reason, because there's never one reason for anything anymore.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, but that's the main reason, and we have a great group going on right now. We wanted to get something out that reflects, what we're doing live at this moment, considering like the lineup changed in 2020. So, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you about the lineup change, because I have followed the band for a bit. I mean, I go back to I think by that point, by the time I discovered you guys, you had already been in existence for a few years, but you were on that Girls Got Rhythm compilation album. So that was like 06, I believe. Anyways, so you had already been in existence. So I was like, wow, I've heard of the band, never actually saw you guys, but that definitely motivated me to go out and catch some shows. And from there forward, I've kind of kept up with the history of the band. First of all, how'd you guys get approached about doing that particular recording on that record?
That was a long time ago. We were in the process of making volume 1, which we call We Salute You.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the artists that are on there, I mean, that's a track that went on our We Salute You release.
Right.
Yeah. And so I wasn't in the managerial mix at that point. I was more just like showing up and playing as a member.
Right.
So they got a hold of our manager / agent and whoever was putting that together, and we submitted that track for whatever reason.
Right. No, it was awesome. I mean, that was a good way to kind of sample what you guys were about, because again, back at that point, I mean, I don't think tribute acts weren't pulling in those kinds of numbers as some now. I mean, some of these acts, kind of like yourselves and like the Iron Maidens, and there's like Atomic Punks, those bands seem to do pretty good business and developed a loyal following over the years. Why ACDC of all bands, if you're going to do form a tribute band, and why all female? It could have been half and half, half male, half female lineup. Take us behind the scenes on that.
Okay, so back in 2000, I believe I tried out for the band in 1999, summer 1999, or maybe it was summer 2000, but I didn't even know what a tribute band was.
Mm-hmm.
Om Jahari and Amy Stolzenbach. Om Jahari was the original singer, and Amy Stolzenbach was the original lead guitarist. And they wanted to do an all-female tribute band. And I tried out for that. Didn't get in the band. And I got in about a year after. And I didn't even know. So, for example, like I asked the singer, I'm like, "Oh, should I learn any solos or anything?" Like, because I didn't understand what they wanted.
Right.
I thought we were just gonna be in a bar playing.
Sure.
Stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
And so I learned some solos, and that didn't go over well. The singer liked that I did, because she's like, "Oh yeah, learn some solos." Okay. So but that didn't go over too well. So yeah, and they just had a really good idea, and there was a vacuum. At that time with rock music, I don't think the White Stripes had made Broken mainstream yet, because it was 2000. So White Stripes went mainstream like 01. So there wasn't at the time there was no rock bands, and I don't know why or for whatever reason, but there just wasn't like a lot of heavy rock
Right.
bands. And so when Hell's Bells started, right away, it was a big, big, big deal. I mean, just,
Hmm.
and I mean, I guess maybe the first 6 months, it took about 6 months, but I mean, 6 months. I mean, a lot of bands work,
Hmm.
you know,
Right.
years to get, at least 3 to, if you're lucky, to get a huge crowd. But yeah, by year 1, and I remember, them doing the showbox, and it's sold
Mm.
out. The showbox market, I think that's a 1,500 capacity, I believe, room. Um, yeah, it just there was a vacuum of rock music, and at that point in 2000 and 2000, yeah, in 2000, the types of people that would come out were like 20 somethings, and then like the outliers were the people maybe in their 50s and 40s that would come like this, just
Yeah.
see, and like just,
Hmm.
just can
Right.
they do this, and
Sure.
yeah, that was back then, and
Yeah.
then now that female thing, can they do it? That's been
Hmm.
kind of,
Yeah.
kind of gone in a way in America.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
So
So, one of the things that, over the years, I know, become a fan of the band, obviously, but followed you through the Jamie Nova years. What a great time that was. And then you got Amber Saxon again. She leaned more towards, like, think the Bon Scott type vibe, and she was there for a bit too. I mean, you've always kind of bounced back after you lose a lineup or a change in lineup or change singers. You always seem to bounce back. Um, you did get Megan on board, right? And she wasn't in for very long. And I got to be honest with you, because I did catch that lineup a couple of times, but it just seemed like it was too slick. I don't know. I don't know if that played a factor in the change, or was it personalities or creative stuff? But it just seemed like that was just way too slick for
oh,
what you guys were doing. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's off the mark or what, just from a perspective of a fan.
I think a lot of people felt that way. What I liked about Megan, I love her voice.
Hmm.
I, I am a sucker for somebody that could sing like that. She does, yeah, her voice is very clean.
Hmm.
But yeah, she came from like Vegas, so she
Right.
had kind of like, it was hard to get Megan to be the acting part of it.
Mm.
I think a lot of people kind of start to, like they forget, oh, I'm supposed to kind of like, I'm supposed to pretend to be
Right.
Bon Scott, Brian Johnson. I'm
Sure.
supposed to be, I'm not, and so I
Yeah.
think that can be a real challenge for performers that are really interested in a solo career and stuff like that. It's just, they don't go together.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that she was just real Vegas-y, and it was always a constant struggle trying to rein that in.
Hmm.
And yeah, so, but ultimately, I mean, she just really wanted to do things that we didn't want to do. And
Mm.
there's also like a set of rules that you
Oh,
follow when you're in a band, and when you don't
sure.
follow the rules, you can't be in the band anymore.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of getting into character, though, I mean, you do a pretty excellent job, getting into character, because you just take on that Angus Young persona,
Oh,
And
thanks.
how do you prep yourself for something like that? And being that I wasn't kind of on board in the early years, I mean, what was the progression of that? And were you just getting feedback from the bandmates, or were you watching like maybe recordings that somebody had done to kind of fine tune that? How take us into that a little bit.
Yeah, when I first got the Angus job, I just I practiced and practiced and practiced, and I stop, rewind, stop, rewind, stop, rewind on the solos, and I was always a kind of player that wanted to do exactly as close as I can what the person I'm
Mm.
emulating is doing, because I want to hear what they did and not what I want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially on those iconic songs, like nobody wants to hear my version of a solo on Back in Black or You Shook Me. You want to hear the solo because it's perfect. It's brilliant. So there's a little more leeway with the more obscure blues ones where you can explore your instrument and feel things and all that. But I would get on the floor and I would try, I would get on the floor and try to walk my legs around, spin around on the floor. And I would watch Rock and Roll Goes to High School. And that's an ACDC thing.
Yeah.
And I would say, and then, so that's kind of how I started. And then as the years went on, there's a little bit of pressure that is getting a little bit better, but there is a little bit of pressure of like Angus can be Angus, but I feel like I got to be like Angus times like 1,000.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
And so I started also there's going to like, okay, I need to just get all that internal dialogue out of my head. I need to focus on the drums, the bass, where my hits go, and then putting the movement into that, making sure that my hands and when drum strings are supposed to happen, making sure I can move and not stop those. And it's a whole thing. I mean, it's, as any job that you have enthusiasm for, you fine tune it. You never stop fine tuning what you're doing.
Sure.
You're constantly.
And one of the things that I ask folks that are like, like singers and stuff like that, I mean, what they do to kind of keep themselves in shape for that type of a performance. Cause I mean, that's pretty physical. It's almost like doing some kind of physical comedy. You know what I mean? Like you're on the floor, rolling around, then you get up and you keep playing and all that kind of stuff. What kind of things do you do to keep yourself relatively injury free? Because even though, you're not doing any like stunts or anything like that, I mean, you could definitely pull a hammy or something.
A hammy. Yeah. I pulled a hammy. I have invested in physical therapy when I get injured or have problems. Like I had a really bad back problem about, how old am I? Okay, I'm about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I thought, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And then, but I invested in physical therapy, and that just, if you do what they say, the body is an amazing machine and it will heal, but you need to do exactly what your physical therapist says. So I've invested in that. I do those things that I'm supposed to do. I swim. I try to mix it up with a little bit of jogging.
Oh, right.
And as I'm getting older, it's, that's a factor too. I mean, so my workouts aren't as intense as they were in 2013, but yeah, I'm an active person and I like to bike ride and hike.
Oh, nice.
And so it only if I'm really tired, maybe there's like 1 or 2 days out of the week where I'm like, oh, I'm just tired. But most of the time I'm activity is a major part of my day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you after Megan, then you have Lauren on board, right? So how did you find her, and did you already know about her? How did that come to be?
I did not know about her.
Okay.
She is still currently in a band called Piston Ready, and that's been her band for a while. And I haven't lived in the Seattle area on a consistent basis since 2002. I've been, so it's hard for me to keep up with what's happening there on the music there, especially in the rock area, because anything that's not really like associated with sub pop, you're not really, it's just hard to keep up. Like,
right.
So yeah, anyway, and but our drummer used to play in Piston Ready, Simona, and so she was suggesting Lauren for a while, and so was Jess. They both knew about her, and so Lauren, what was very a positive bright spot, because the singing this music is really difficult. that Lauren's vocal coach was the coach of Amber, me, and Jamie. So I'm like, okay, so this, and Stu training her name's Stu Carr, and she has a son named Wolfcart, and they're both vocal coaches. When I heard that they were like, oh, you're going to be so good for this job, that made me feel a little more confident, like, okay, this is a bright spot. Let's just keep going down this road. And Lauren's very, very willing to do the best that she can. And she's open to improving. And so that's a really good attitude to have.
Right.
Yeah. It's got that grit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what, has to happen for ACDC.
Sure. I always think of the best place to see in Portland, anyways, best place to catch a Hell's Bells show is got to be Dante's. I mean, that's just totally an excellent fit. It's a gritty little kind of dive bar type, spot with a stage that's really dimly lit, and here comes Hell's Bells and kind of blows the roof off the place. So that's an awesome place to catch a show. What has been for you the hardest lineup change? Has it been the overhaul of the band throughout the years? I mean, is there a particular time that was kind of tough?
Oh God, it's never fun. It's never
right.
It's only one time has it been peaceful. Every time it's this huge, like,
yeah,
a disaster every time. So, but I mean, it doesn't always have to be a way. I mean, with my longtime business partner, Mandy, that was peaceful. She left with a lot of grace and she's very generous. But everybody else has been, fuck yeah. So they want to burn the house down, you know what I mean? So
sure.
It's just like, so you're just, and it's just, I'm just like, okay, well, let me see if I can
right.
keep going.
Yeah.
That's all I can do.
Has that been something where then things get repaired, or has it even gotten to the point that they're irreparable?
Things get repaired. Yeah. Like there are some players that, like, if I got in a pinch, I could, they would come and help. But then there's other relationships that are just, gone. You're off my train, I'm off your train.
Yeah, right. Out of curiosity, I know that a few years back, Axl filled in ACDC. Did you ever get a chance to see an actual show, or what did you think overall? Because I know those clips are online anyways. Anybody can have access to those. Some of those clips are better than others.
I watched the YouTube. Yeah. Well, the first YouTube I watched, it was probably the first song of the set, and the crowd was chanting Axl, and so that ruffled my feathers, because I'm like,
sure.
This is
yeah.
But then he started singing, and I was like, well, it does sound really good.
that was interesting. I mean, it almost seemed like they had made the change to Axl, so that was kind of hard to kind of see, right? Somebody else fronting that band.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there was Bon, and then it was Brian, and then for a minute Axl, but I'm glad Brian is back.
Yeah. Have you guys ever performed, or is there any desire to perform an ACDC album top to bottom? And if so, what would that be, you think?
Oh, we have.
You have? Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, like at our 10-year anniversary, we did Highway to Black. That's what we called it. And we did all of Highway to Hell, and then all of Back.
Oh, nice.
In order.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was the only time we took a set break, like a quick to transfer over albums. I don't even, but it was like maybe, anyway. Yeah. And then the plan for our 20th anniversary was to do Powerage and then Back in Black again.
Okay.
And so we learned all of Powerage, and we only performed our last show as that lineup in 2020 was the Knitting Factory in Spokane. And I think that was maybe the second time we did it, because it was the start of 2020 where we started it. So yeah, it only got, then the pandemic hit, and that's when
Yeah.
everything, like
Yeah, right.
any kind of relationship or anything in your life that wasn't solid, that
Mhm.
pandemic, broke it.
Right. Yeah, what a mess that was. Don't
Yeah.
want to relive that again, right?
No.
So if you can let folks know where they can pick up the record. I picked one up. I know you could have pre-ordered those, but they're still available. I mean, people can hop online and grab a copy.
Yeah, I have some here. I've been mailing out the ones that are just the CD by itself. The
Mhm.
bundle special shirt
Yeah.
isn't in it, so I can't. But you can get it at our website, hellsbells.net. Just click on the shop, and it'll take you to a square site. And I still have it, the signed, personalized, and the bundle for like $5 off for a pre-order.
Yeah.
But I'm going to end that on September 1st and just kind of, put it to the price it's going to be for the rest of the, till we run out.
Right.
And yeah, but the shirt, there's only like 120 shirts made. So that's kind of a,
Yeah.
that won't be made again.
Sure.
I think that's
sure. And I saw that when you guys were on a road trip, I think to the show in Idaho, you guys were working on personalizing some of those CDs. You make making good use of your time, I should say, right on the drive up there.
Yeah.
So I just got a couple more things, and I'll cut you loose. And thanks for reconnecting so we can get this done. And awesome talking to you. Is there a particular ACDC deep cut that you would like to insert into the set that you haven't yet, as of yet? And if so, what is it?
Wow. Well, it was Right On, but we just started doing that one.
Right.
Now, what do I say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that was it. I wanted to Right On, and so we're doing it now. And I got to come up with another one.
Well, yeah. I mean, and let me know when you do. I'll be like bombarding you with emails to get it in the set list.
What's your wish?
I'd say Gone Shooting.
Oh, okay. I
That
know
would
it.
be, I mean, just something really, really different, right? I mean, I think something like that. But no, Right On would have been one in my top 5.
Yeah.
That's such a great tune.
I guess I would pick and nobody is with me on this one. We've never done Money Talks, and a lot of people like that song, and
right.
I wouldn't mind having some more Brian's pick from, but I think I'm in the minority.
Yeah, so you're more partial to Bon era. Yeah.
Oh, I love both, but well, Money Talks is Brian, but I think the majority of people like people that are dead better.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good point, because they're not going to see them live more than likely. So they're kind of attached to that. It's kind of like some of these, as tribute bands do better, if they have they're using like Freddie Mercury, let's say, for instance. You're not going to see him on stage anytime soon. Last thing, because this is going to go on We Go to 11, which is a Spinal Tappy kind of sounding page here. Have you ever experienced the Spinal Tap moment on stage? And if so, what was that like? I'm sure you probably had some mishaps, especially when you get to the point where you have to do the Angus solo thing and the shorts come out and all that business. So,
right. Okay. One time we were playing this private party, and this man had built a cake, and a collapsible cake, and I was gonna pop out. I was instructed to pop out of it, and I'm into that, so
right.
But it's the first song, and of course I pop out of it, you bust the door open,
right? Yeah.
And of course it knocks my guitar out of tune. So
oh no.
So it's
yeah. Oh no.
It's so bad.
Oh.
You're trying to just not strum that string, find a way to not strum it. The one that's first you got to figure out which one is it, out of key, and then you're try not to strum the string or put your finger in a way where that one doesn't get hit. Like, oh my
Yo. Yeah.
There's like so many of those things that happen.
I'm guessing, yeah, especially over the years. I think you probably filed those in the memory banks to not relive those again, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure there's more, but
Yeah, nice. Hey, so we're gonna plug the band, post the socials, post where they can get the record, and hopefully we see you in Portland, Oregon at Dante's. I mean, you guys play there fairly regularly, and it's always a good time catching Hell's Bells.
hell yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, Adrian, thanks so much for your time. And like I said, we'll get this online. We'll send you a link, make it look good. Maybe make me look good somehow. I don't know.
Hey,
We'll see how it goes, but definitely make you look good. And we'll post this, send you the link, and then you can share it with folks and see what they think. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
We'll see you in Dante's in 2024 at some point. I gotta figure out
Yeah.
work,
Yeah. Hopefully in January.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll get this to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye.